And so we did have some leakage. Okay, good morning. So what we are working on today is I need to get water transferred. We have a secondary transfer pump, so we no longer have to disconnect the hoses from our main water pump just to get water from one IBC tote to the other one. So Elijah went ahead and bought a second transfer pump. It's a lot more low profile than our original one. Since I'm going to be needing the water hose that connects our big pump to the hot water heater, I'm going to be setting up the red PEX line that goes from the water pump to the hot water heater, so we can get that done and over with, because Elijah bought a bunch of different adapters so that we can actually get that conversion done. It basically changes the garden hose over to a PEX line size. So that's what we're going to be working on. Okay, so this is our transfer pump. So we're going to be using this one specifically to get water out of the IBC tote. So I went ahead and I connected all these fittings last night while we were waiting for our water to fill up, because we did go and get some water. We're gonna have to go again and get another water. This is water for Terry, but I need water so I can set the post up front. But it came with like this little strainer, and so right now I already have our small hose connected to it. So now I just need to detach the green hose. So I'm going to detach this green hose from the hot water, and we're going to use that to transfer. And I'm going to go ahead and get our red line set up, because we finally have the adapters to take it from a garden hose to a PEX size. So this will be the last time that we have to disconnect this to transfer. Okay, so I'm gonna go and shove this end inside the water. Okay, so we're gonna turn that on. That's already open. Okay, as you can see, we have water transferring out. So this pump does about 4 gallons per minute, and it's very, very quiet. So I don't know if the mic will pick it up, but that's how quiet this thing is. And then this is the little filter that it runs all the water through, so that it doesn't suck in any foreign objects in there. So here is taking it from the garden hose to the push connect, just like I showed you in a previous video. And then over here, same thing, it takes it from the garden hose to a push connect. So all I have to do is just cut my pipe now, and then we are good to go. And then I also do have some elbows that I'll be using. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna insert it in first, and then I'll come back and I'll cut it afterwards, just so I can make sure that I get the correct length. We just gotta get these little inserts out. Come on. There we go. Alright, so that is now nice and clear. I think I'll have to cut about right here to put this in, so I can go that way, and then I might have to put one more elbow in to take me down to that one. And then I'm just using these are floor trim things. They work great. So I guess I'm gonna cut about here. Let me get this to the 90 degree.
I'm gonna go in there and get that instead of trying to claw through the thing. Hey.
Okay, so that is cut. I'm going to unsqueeze this a little bit just so that it gets its round shape back. And then I'm going to cut a little bit more off. So we're gonna pop this up on here. To cut about here. So push this in that way. Okay, and then we're just going to take a pipe from there and hopefully it will bend into here because I'm not using another elbow. But luckily, I think if I do it like that, it should be fine. So let me figure out a cut. And then, yeah, I know we're using some extra connectors. I could have just went, I think even if I went from there to there, I would still have to use a connector just because of the slope that this is at. But the great thing is that we will no longer have to unhook any hoses from there. And then now our next project, I think after we get the solar moved in here and taken care of, is to swap out these hoses, the one that's here and the one that's here, for our blue PEX line. So let me hurry up and get this one. I'm gonna get this one attached really quick to here. And then afterwards I will do a pressure test and make sure that everything is connected properly. Okay, so that's gonna go right there. And then that one should run about there. So if I cut about here. Okay. Ooh, that was a little short. Actually, it's not short. Okay. Move this one out of there. Okay. That's what it looks like. I think it's fine. This one I noticed made like a nice little popping sound. I hate how rigid PEX pipe is. It's so annoying, but okay. Oh yeah, and then I don't know if you noticed, last time I showed you the water heater, this was a black cord. So Elijah got a longer gas line cord, and then he has it running straight into Terry. So our propane tank that was sitting out here now is sitting up front with our other propane tank that feeds Terry's propane. He went ahead and plugged the other end of this into the water heater section of Terry. And it's one of the sections that he had capped off. And so I think we have two more sections. One for the furnace, which we don't use because we use an electric heater in there when we need it. And then there was one more that was in there, I think, that we don't use because, oh, the fridge. So we really only use the gas line now for this water heater and then for the stove. but I'm gonna go ahead and get the water flowing through here, and then we are going to check it to see if there's any leaks. So let's do this. I'm just gonna do one last little. Oh, good thing I checked that because that was not even in. So I did have some leakage. So the leakage ended up not coming from any of these PEX pipes. It ended up coming from the piece that we have here. So pretty much coming from the water heater. You can't see it because it's covered in tape right now, but this is a little tiny adapter piece. And so it converts this pipe right here into a garden hose adapter, because that's what we were using previously. And so the garden hose could just properly just fit right into there, but we needed it to take it from a garden hose to the smaller one so that we can get the PEX adapter in there. And the one that was previously installed was a bad one, so it wasn't completely creating a seal from this one to the other piece. So it was causing a leak coming from there. So we had these little extra pieces here, so I swapped it out for one of these, reattached the PEX back in, and then it solved our leakage issue. So this is what we have going on with the pipes, so we don't have to use the green garden hose anymore. And then this is the line that takes the hot water straight into Terry. So I think when we're ready, we're not going to do it until we move the IBC tote, because we want the IBC tote to sit on the side of the big shed. So once we do that, then we'll get this line and this line changed out to blue PEX pipe. Once we do that, then we can get this hole sealed and this hole sealed. And then also we're going to be putting an outlet on the outside of the shed, or maybe on the inside. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Elijah, but we're going to put an outlet once we run our lines from the back of the property, so that we can plug in the water heater and the water pump either inside or outside the shed, but plug them in so we don't have to plug them into the generator. And then that will allow us to seal up that hole and then also that hole as well. Okay, so this is about how much water we have left in here. I think I'm going to go ahead, it's about almost 25 gallons. It's a little bit above. Once it gets down to 25 gallons, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, because I want to use this water to set some of the posts on the front of the property with it, since we're using concrete. And then also I need some of it to fill up the kids' water table. And it's easier to get it out of here and just take the trailer with me, rather than having to go back and forth and get it out of Terry, because then you have to turn on the pump and run the water and all that kind of stuff. So this will just be easier and it flows quicker out of here. But that's what we did for the back of the property when we finished the post over there. But let me also go and take you while that is getting down to show you some other stuff. So we ended up getting another delivery delivered. So we have a brand new pallet of concrete on the right, so that is 42 more bags, plus the ones that we have over here. These ones on this side is all the concrete that we need to set all the posts on the back of the property. And then as you can see, we have posts here, we have posts all the way up there, and then over here there is another pallet of posts over there. So the last thing that we'll have to do is get the posts that go up against the wash property next to us. So pretty much I'm just in prep mode. I prepped these day before yesterday, but I ran out of the rubberized sealer that I put on top of it. So that is what Elijah went and picked up for me yesterday. So that is a 5-gallon bucket, since we are pretty much in go mode.